the market changes as well. There's so many more company working online, offering workshops online and classes and stuff. Social media are sort of polarizing in a way the situation, meaning that some artists are becoming very big.
Do I have a treat for you today? My interview with Francesco Fontana. You are going to get insight on what it means and what it looks like to be a master painter who is a signature member of AWS, which is American Watercolor Society, and who is from Italy. So without any further ado, let's go to that interview now. Thank you so much for joining me. It's an honor to get to just sit back and ask you some questions that are on artists' minds. And just to get going, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do with watercolor?
Yeah, well, simple question. Anyway, hello everybody. Thank you, Gabriel, for having me. And I've been painting for since I can remember. You know, I was born in Sicily and then moved to Paris when I was pretty young. I was very young, 20. I was 20, and I moved to Paris to live my bohemian dream of what, you know, the artist life looked to me in my mind, you know. So I went there and I painted. I used to draw and paint portraits down the street. So that was my first kind of plein air experience. Then, you know, things been going for a few decades, and been painting in oil, painting in watercolor for sure. And the past about 10 years I've been focusing on watercolor. And I do teach here in Italy. I do teach abroad. I travel a lot. I do give some workshop in the States, being part of plein air festivals, competitions. Exhibited several times at the American Watercolor Society in New York. And by the way, I'm now a signature member of the AWS. So what else? It's a busy life. It's fun and it's busy, and I'm very happy that I can live the life that I wanted to live. You know, you ask questions because I can't recall everything I do.
What do you find rewarding about watercolor painting?
Well, the transparency, I think, it's the first the first aspects that, I mean, I do also love other media, as I said, opaque medium, but for some reason, the transparency, of course, the fluidity of water, it's challenging, but it's rewarding because you have all those, you know, the transparency, translucency. Translucency is it's what really I love that. You know, there's some magic into that specific thing. It's refreshing to paint, the action of painting in watercolor. Then all the project and the design that you have to put in place, that's committing anyway. That's a lot of work. You know that it's not that easy as easy as it seems, you know, from an outsider. But however, the action of putting down water and pigment is really something sexy, I would say. You know, that's the specific, you know, joy of watercolor.
Watercolor it has something that other mediums don't have, and that is the transparency element. What is it that with you painting watercolor unique than others that are painting watercolor?
You mean the other artist or other medium?
Artists, your work, because I've seen your work now shown with the American Watercolor Society, and congratulations on getting into that show.
Thank you. Well, the signature status is very, very rewarding. That's some award, that's really, for an Italian, for an European, it might be a double, gratification, I would say. So, but your question was, what makes different from an artist? Is that a question? Okay, well, that's really, that's a hard question, because it's hard to compare, to be aware of what makes you different, because that's not a decision you make once for all, once for good. It's every day to be as much as possible yourself, but that's a challenge. For me, it's an everyday challenge, and then every time it's kind of every time I see something, I got the impression that I did something that looks like somebody else, would say, no, you're not going to do that again. And so maybe that makes the style, the personality, show out. And as far as I can say, it's like, I do try to paint in watercolor like it was any other medium, in terms of ideas, of concepts, of the kind of, say, content of the painting. So I paint like, I don't want people to say, oh, this is a watercolor. I want them to focus on the art, not really thinking whether it's a medium or another medium. Although I want it to be watercolor, for sure. So basically, I mostly, look for feedback for others, say what's different, what makes me different, make my style and my art different from others. It's something that I try to learn from others, basically.
I agree. There's an artist voice as develops up, your signature look as you keep painting. Each painting gets you to your uniqueness. And that's really, I think, what helps. And what that leads into the next question is, how has watercolor evolved over the years for you?
For me, yeah, I would say in that direction. There was a point in where I said, okay, you were technically, decent enough, able enough to maybe move on and think of what you want to say with art, and try to focus on the content, the ideas, the subjects, the storytelling, possibly, So yeah, for a while I said I have to master the medium, and I was really studying, and I keep studying because that's also the fun of it. But the evolution, I would say, is just going into like a figurative body of work that basically is a good chance for me. It's an opportunity to tell some story, to make a little more complex discourse, if you want to put it that way, compared to just keep doing plein air, quick paintings, so allow myself to work on a painting a few weeks, then just a couple of hours, which I still do as a training. But I just try to go a little bit beyond that.
That's so good. That's so good. I like that take. What have been some of the challenges do you face when painting a watercolor piece?
Challenges, yeah, there are many. But speaking of watercolor itself, the right saturation, because that's always a challenge. I used to be, in a sense, kind of a tonalist, especially when I was painting in oil most of the time. So I'm studying more the color system and the color harmonies. But watercolor is challenging that way, because either it's always whiskey, you can always do something muddy or something too garish, too, too bright, too saturated. So that's the kind of struggle I face, because it dries lighter, it dries, a little muted. So that's, technically speaking, that's probably the most challenging aspect of watercolor.
So people that are watching this are trying to find a direction where they're going with their watercolor journey. So if we were to ask you to pin yourself in a corner and say, I paint this style, what would you say your style of watercolor is?
I do pretty much paint by glazes, which is not very common in watercolor, because most of us tend to paint direct painting, just put down the color for good. I like those kind of glazing and light going through different planes of sorts of broken colors in a way, split colors, splitting glaze, and it's what I try to do. And that makes it maybe, I don't know what kind of style, or you can name it, I'm not sure. Although it's not very traditional. I try to sort of convert that tradition of glazing, working by glazes, in something more informal, more contemporary, not too, I would do 3 or 4 or 5 layers, but I don't know. Okay, what kind of style you can label that? I would say a kind of informal realism. Oh, there was a man you might know, a friend of mine, Raffaele Ciccareni. That's such a great guy. And he said, you know what? That was a few years ago. You are an hyper non-realistic painter. He made this kind of a paradox. You're a hyper non-realistic. I don't know. You can get that kind of tag, sort of. That's the voice I can tell you.
Thank you so much. That is actually one of the hardest questions. And it's tough. You don't really want to pin yourself down and be stuck in this little plank, because artists aren't this cookie cut shape. We're very creative. And could we just take it one step back to how do you, I know sometimes you work from photos, and sometimes you're amazing draftsman. You draw so well. Artists we interviewed, they actually trace.
I use different approaches. That's 90% of the time I just draw either from a photo or from life, but just freehand, just by the eye. And I'm pretty, I'm pretty good at that. I mean, I like to do it. Basically, it's I don't know how good I am, but anyway, I like it. And with larger pictures, larger paintings, it's a little more challenging. So either way, either I do some grid, the grid system, just enlarge it. I didn't use a projector. I did it a couple of times, so for commissions, but by the way, they were not watercolors. They were other works that secret commissions. You don't want to most the public to know, but that's part of the business. So sometimes you do something occasionally, something that you want to do, and the client is expects something really perfectly proportioned and realistic. So I honestly used a couple of times. I used the projector, but most of the time it's do either grid or freehand. I may honestly, I may try some other different things, but I don't like tracing. Is kind of a bit, I don't know, a bit messy for my head. I'd rather do, also the what do you call that? Divider. That's that little.
Yeah, please show us.
This things proportional divider, they call it. Excuse me. Something that
Oh, calipers. Yeah.
a caliber. You call it caliber.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. So I use this. I rather use this. I don't know. I'm more comfortable than, but that's only for larger pieces. Otherwise, I can make it freehand.
That's so good. I'm so glad you showed us the calipers because some people probably never even seen those before.
This is new on the market, but use it in the Renaissance. So what I'm trying. Yeah, they used to use also camera oscura. They used to do a lot of other tricks. So I may just give it a chance with other systems, but basically I like to draw. So I know it's a little bit longer, maybe sometimes, but okay.
I'm so glad you brought up commission work because some beginning artists only think galleries are their only form of stream of income. And could you maybe share some other streams of income that you have? I know one of them is you have a video with Streamline Publishing.
Yeah. Well, it's diversified a little bit because nowadays you need to diversify a little bit. Although I'm focusing on my painting most. Of course, there are workshop classes, videos, some commission, of course. Well, those commissions like portraits are really made the traditional way. I wouldn't trace somebody's face. I need to fill it, so I wouldn't do that. Maybe other kind of subjects or stuff in terms of um, drawing the subject. And basically, I try as much as possible to sell my paintings. This is the most rewarding thing. Well, some award also help when you're lucky enough to win some cash award. Wow, that's wonderful. And so there are this 4 or 5, 6 ways to put together, the bread on the table. Say, it's not easy, but your best to be a good. Well, as I was saying, a good marketer, but I'm not that good at. I'm not so good at marketing anyway. So.
You're so humble because you are a brand ambassador of Daniel Smith. I believe there's a paper that you like to use, Han Mueller. Yours book, A Watercolor World.
Yeah. Daniel Smith, yeah, they're very nice. They've been very nice with me so far, and I love those tubes, those pure pigments they produce, they create, and also they are such a dynamic company. They now pulled out the gouache sets, and that it's good. I'm happy I got that partnership, and that was since it's been a while now. And Mueller, yeah, I love that paper. It's pretty smooth. In order to, since I like to draw. It's pretty smooth, but it's true that I have a lot of different papers in the studio. And since I teach at the Milano Painting Academy, there's a new academy here in Milano, and they are connected with the Arch, so I must be honest, we use also Arch at the school. So yeah. if you like to have a sort of soft paper because you want to draw, animal is a good one. If you prefer a drier and a little rougher texture, Arch is good as well. I use the back of the Arch. Fine grain, I use the back. And what was your question? Excuse me, I got carried away.
Yeah, and that's great example. What was there a painting that you made that put your name out there? You're like, I did this one painting that really brought it. I felt like this painting brought me into the watercolor circles as a professional artist.
Yeah, there is a painting that is pretty symbolic in a way. Probably it wasn't the first one that put me in the watercolor circle. Maybe I was already, you know, around in the business. But my breakfast in America, the girl with the red shirt, I don't know if you had the chance to see it. That is so far the most fortunate painting. You know, he went to the American Watercolor Society. He won an award. He toured some museum in the States. It's a painting that most people relate to me. That remembers. I would say I'm known for. I'm remembered for so far. So, to be honest, you know, every day I challenge myself, say, do better than that. That's a kind of a standard that, but that comes with the inspiration. That's actually my daughter, Flora, in the painting. So you cannot really predict that. It's something that you do, you know, and it comes out that you were inspired and that you made I wouldn't say the perfect painting, but the one you're proud of, and the one that people love. That's it. It's simply that.
That's so good. I really appreciate you sharing that. And one of the questions a lot of beginners want to know, of course, they want to try to like speed up the process, but what as an instructor, because I know you're a master teacher, what is the one mistake that watercolor artists make when they're beginning?
I think there are two. The first one, it referred to the medium itself, is they do not practice the single skills. You know, most workshops and classes and stuff are focused on the subject. Like, let's make a bunch of flowers or a landscape or whatever, portraits and time. And you know, it's like that. The end result is the focus. I do try to start with the single skills, like how to hold a brush. This is not granted. How to get the most of it. So there's an art in just handling and, you know, the gesture and the way you use the brush, and that's one thing. You should practice for a while. Then practice the dilution of the pigment, and so practice just that. Don't do a painting. Just do sheets, you know, papers, a lot of paper with brush strokes and mixing and etc. So anyway, those are just a couple of examples of just focusing, being passionate enough to practice the single aspects that are related to watercolor. Then going a little farther than that, I think drawing comes into play. And unfortunately, most people neglect, you know, don't think it's so, you know, it's so necessary. I mean, you can paint without being a great draftsman and draft person, but that's a plus. That's definitely something, you know, it's a big plus. And that should be practiced beside watercolor, beside any medium, in my opinion. because most people are not, sometimes people are not happy because things are kind of, you know, really not staying together. But they don't realize they should commit a little bit into that, into drawing. And also, yeah, again, about those skills of the medium. Maybe too much water or too much pigment or too confusing brush work. They skip that. They skip a lot of things. It's not their fault, but maybe should take it slower and focus on single pieces, chunks of the learning process.
When should they start painting with professional materials? And what do you advise your students?
Well, that's true. It helps. I would say it's good that they start with professional grade pigments and brushes and stuff. My advice is just don't buy tons of tubes and brushes and stuff. Just get two or three, four good brushes, different shapes. I would say even half a dozen colors, and learn how to get the most of them, you know. Not really picking, you know, brushes. Learn the maximum of what that brush can give you. For years, I've been just painting with 3 primary colors, for instance. And so I exploited all the possibilities, the mixing and stuff. So I would say I had 1 color a year, you know, over 10 years. And still, I don't use many at every single painting. So, yeah. Also, well, at the same time, you should be ready to challenge yourself. If you're not the best paper or best brushes are available, yeah, you use them anyway. You gotta just you know, give it a chance and learn the difference and try to pull something from your, you know, your ability to, you know, do something good with poor material. If the case, you might run out of paint or brushes, inks, you forget it, you got your stuff stolen when you travel. So many things can happen. You got to be able to just make it up some way.
Francisco, how important is it to have 100% cotton paper?
Well, it is important because it's good material and the response from the paper is good. Drying is the right speed, and it doesn't sort of, let's say, wrinkle stuff. But again, I don't. If I have to, I use any paper, you know, celluloid or, you know, maybe 50% or 60% or 30%, because if you do exercises or you traveling and you can find the best paper, use anything. Okay, know the difference. Learn how to, you know, learn the difference. But don't get fussy, like, oh, I don't have my favorite paper. I don't have my, you know, favorite brand of, don't worry about that. You know, that's my philosophy. I don't know.
Do you see any trends with watercolor? And this goes to a younger group of people, you know, and my hope is to keep watercolor growing and staying. Do you see any new current trends?
Well, I see some trend in terms that a bunch of people are trying to find new ways. Some people or some artists are researching toward abstraction. More and more people are getting to figurative, which is challenging. It's not so easy, especially with watercolor. So I think for years, most of us kept away from that challenge and just did, you know, landscapes, plein air and stuff that where you can just adjust things. You can sort of, but more people is sort of going out that, say, comfort zone and try, raise the bar. Okay? That's, I would say, a little percentage of artists. Most of them, 90+%, just keep doing the same thing. That's artistically speaking. In terms of demographic, yeah, more young people is just getting into watercolor. Are passionate about it now. It's become so popular. That's true, and some of them may dream of become professionals. In my experience, it's true that I used to have older people as students. Yeah, that's what I can tell you about. I'm not good at statistics, but for sure, so yeah, younger people is approaching what I call it now.
How has COVID pandemic impacted your art?
Things are changing. I can feel that things are moving. The market has changed as well. There's so many more company working online, offering workshops online and classes and stuff. That's good for one way because you can reach people way far away. But in a sense, I'm pretty old school. I like to meet people in person. That's for sure. The other thing is social media are sort of polarizing in a way the situation, meaning that some artists are becoming very, very big, in following, Instagram following, etc. Some other are not, and it seems that's pushing, I think, way beyond the real thing. I mean, I don't know if it's a marketing thing or it's a some other kind of trend, but you can see there are, that's kind of, I don't know how to explain that, but that's affecting, I think, social now they are affecting. It's been good for a while because it made it, popular. What I call became more popular, more democratic. If art is a democratic thing, everybody should be able to access that. But now it's becoming kind of a fight over maybe numbers or trends or fashions, or I don't know. It's just a feeling that I have. It's kind of, for me, it's becoming a little bit harder to navigate that thing. I have people saying, oh, you should post stuff every day, you should do this, you should sort of make more videos, make more demos, you should do this and that. But I understand that the more you get involved into that, the less you paint. And painting and researching, become a better painter, and leave a little bit of a trace in this world for my art. It's more a priority now for me than being very famous or more famous or whatever.
Some people, they paint so that they can know how to teach, not how can I market so that I can have a job. That's, I think, a big thing right now.
Yes, yeah. Maybe you got it better than I did in a way, because becoming popular, it's becoming like not the consequences of how good you are as a painter, as an artist, or but it's like pushing some kind of sometimes some kind of cliche as well, to to make it fast, to get faster in the position that you believe may allow you to teach, to make a little money, etc. But I always need to learn something from teaching. When teaching becomes just a way to make some legit money, of course. But if that's the only reason why you do that, I get it's not me. I need to find it creative and for my art. And so that may make a difference between artists. The COVID thing is, however, historically made as I said, a turning point. But to love that time, those kind of for a year, I was pretty happy to stay home because I could focus on my art, not feeling the pressure to jump on a plane and go teach a workshop or, you know, it was a great excuse to stay focused and reflect. And as the introspective person that I think I am, silent, quiet, no noise from the street outside. So it was kind of magic for a while, say for a year, because I know that some other artists got depressed or really kind of dry, not find any inspiration. It was, for some, was kind of a trauma in a way. Not my case. I understand them, but it was my case.
You know, I remember those conversations with some of our friends that are traveling together and doing workshops and doing some of these events, and they were having a hard time. That nice moment of a season where we could just relax. That was nice too. Some of those artists took that time to regroup and say, what can I fix? Because I know this isn't going to be an forever thing. And they're now they figured out how to be more productive.
Very productive period. I was also lucky. I had also a couple of commissions that really kept me saved my pocket as well. But gotta be honest, I also had some commission that saved me a little bit that way. But however, I enjoyed it. I was more calm than usually.
What would you like to say to those that have put off watercolor all their life and they're thinking about giving it a go?
Oh yes, just go for it. Just do it. Just do it. I mean, no way. And you gotta find, the way to, well, in a way, it can be easy to find someone to teach you or people to get inspired by, or societies or communities or clubs, I think, where people, get together and paint. So there's a lot of choice. It's also true that there's maybe sometimes too much information, too much online, inputs. If you, I find it overwhelming sometimes. Although I'm not looking for some particular learning experience, I know my way through that. But however, I think sometimes it's a bit too much, too many people. I don't want to be elusive. Of course, I understand we are at 8 billions on this planet. But anyway, sometimes if I was younger and very naive about that, how could I just, find my way through all this, this tons of information. Everybody feels they can teach, everybody offer you something. In a way, it's too fast. If that was spread over time, maybe, but it's all too fast and too much at the same time. So I'm not sure. I would advise young people or neophytes to just, I don't know, be a little bit careful what they do. But however, take the risk, give it a go, paint, find pals, find, fellows to paint with, teachers, but yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna put in the description where people can find you. I was also thinking I'll put in the description people can watch your painting demo that you did with Daniel Smith. But where else would you like people to find you and get a hold of you and see about future workshops?
Well, there's not much planned because, as I said, I more time to my research in painting to develop more, body of work for shows and galleries and etc. But one thing I like is to, and also because I teach in this academy, so that takes, most of the teaching time in the spare time, But anyway, something that I like is just to teach online, but just one-on-one, possibly, or very small groups. Whoever wants to just contact me, and we may set a meeting like we're doing online like this. There are a few of them, and I find that very rewarding for them and for myself, because it's more personal. Well, it's long distance, but however, it's pretty personal, and yeah, and I think it's a very nice way to develop something to learn.
Francisco, I appreciate you taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you again. Hopefully, maybe in Fabiano.
Yeah, it's possible. That's possible this year too. Yeah, thank you. I thank you, Gabriel. It's always great to catch up and talk art and tell stories and be together in spirit at least. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Francesco Fontana, a painter from Italy. I do paint in oil and watercolor, other than other media occasionally, but I basically do watercolor.
Streamline Premiere art videos down in the link. See you in the next artist interview, where you'll get to level up on your career as an artist.